G'day viewers, my name is Michael and welcome to SingleRacer. And now a few videos back I ran into a little problem featuring this particular car here. Now this is the brilliant RSS Formula 1970 V8 and isn't she beautiful, but this specific one is the wingless version, and when you buy the car you get two versions, a standard and an S version, and multiple wing choices in the setup, and including this one without a wing altogether. But while putting the video together, I realised I couldn't get the AI to run wingless, no matter even if I picked their liveries from the menu. But thankfully, our sim racing community, which is always willing to help, came up with a few suggestions, and that's what I want to go over here. And now the first two suggestions were the same or very similar, and they were from my good sim racing friend humblegeorge, who's an experienced modder and suggested this idea, as well as someone named Winged, and they both suggested using the Assetto Corsa car tuner, which is over on Race Department. And so what you could do essentially is save a slightly different version with the setup you want, and it'll be recognized by either Assetto Corsa or Content Manager. Now another person by the name of Quokes, and I hope I've got that name correct, apologies if I haven't, but Quokes asked, well, what if I want to race, you know, 2 or 3 different versions of the wing and wingless together? So you could possibly save 2 or 3 setups using this Assetto Corsa car tuner and then run them all in the one go. But then the other 2 of the 4 suggestions came up with a slightly better idea, or an easier one. Not necessarily better, but just an easier one. And the first is Mar2, and he says, I think the AI uses a default setup of the cars, and suggested if I use the weekend mode instead. But then I got an even easier way of doing it by Jody Parks, and Jody Parks is a very good friend of Humble George, or the Humble George channel, and his suggestion was the easiest. So that's what I want to cover now as a solution if you're running into these problems as well. And this not only applies to the RSS 1970, but any car that might have a wing and no wing, or just 2 different versions, and you want to run the car with the AI set up in any particular style or version or setup. So let's go through that now. And so for those of you that know the AI default trick already, feel free to just skip ahead to the next chapter if you want to, but just for completion's sake, I want to assume that some viewers don't know what I'm talking about. So what I did was I selected this car here without the wing, which is the S version, the special version that gives you the choice of livery or 3 liveries without the wing. Then I set up a race here using those liveries, thinking that I would get wingless cars as AI in the race. But this is what happened. Okay folks, so this is what happened when I started my previous video. All the AI had wings, and I was so confused because I made sure I picked the wingless version. And when I saw the replay, I realised that I had a wing as well. I raced the whole race without thinking I was wingless and didn't realise that I had it. So I go, okay, it must be in the setting. Sure enough, there it is. So I'll switch it to 0 and just double check. Yep, so I'm wingless, and then I saved it under, you know, a generic name that you might save your setup. But when I restarted the race, they were still wingless, the AI. So Jody Park said, if you change any settings you like, including others, so we'll change the fuel, we'll change from groove to slick, and we'll change the wing of course, but any other settings that you choose, as long as you save it under a particular name, under setup, so I'll lean forward and type, you don't have to do capitals, but it's AI underscore default. So I typed that with the setup that I've now chosen, including being wingless, and now when I restart the race, the AI cars, including the special versions that had wings, will be wingless, and you can race against them as long as you save it under that name. So this includes any other car, hopefully. So I'm hoping that helps you out a lot. So now this is Michael signing out for SingleRacer. I'll catch you next time. See you later, and let's go Formula RSS 1970 wingless racing.